Jinger Duggar shares shocking relationship with production crew. Counting on alum, Jinger Duggar Vuolo is back with new updates with her husband, Jeremy. The married couple recently returned to their podcast. Their comeback was also extra special, as it was also the day they announced their relocation. The two moved into a new house, though they're still living in Los Angeles. They've already released several podcast episodes. But what caught the attention of many was Jinger's revelation about her relationship with the production crew. Keep reading to see her statements. Counting on Jinger Duggar and Jeremy Vuolo's move last month, Jinger and Jeremy took to YouTube to share their first podcast episode after years of hiatus. At the same time, the Counting on alums revealed that they've relocated. Jinger and Jeremy are now living in a house given to them by the Masters University and Seminary, where Jeremy works as a pastor. This also confirms the speculations about the sudden listing of the married couple's LA home for $899,999. But some people were shocked after it was reported that they sold it lower than the asking price, seemingly showing that they're struggling financially. Jinger shares shocking relationship with production crew. In an Instagram post, Jinger shared a clip from their latest podcast episode in which she talks about her relationship with the show's production crew. According to the Counting on alum, they had a strong relationship with almost everyone on the team, adding that some of them stayed for 10 years and have become family to them. Jinger Duggar Vuolo also seems sad knowing that they may never have a project again after her brother Josh's CSAM arrest. Here are some of the comments she received. I loved your show then. Watched every season until it all ended. Love following you now even more. What a strong woman. It takes a lot of strength to talk about her experience and what she went through in that upbringing and setting of always being on camera. All things aside, I truly miss this show. Jim was my favorite also. Counting on Jinger Duggar shares traumatic experience during filming. Aside from the production crew, Jinger also talked about one of the most terrifying moments she had during the show. According to the Counting on alum, they were filming a horseback riding episode when she was 12. She was able to ride one, but she was left traumatized when the horse began to panic after crossing a small body of water. Jinger Duggar Vuolo added that her horse bucked 3 times, but she felt like it was forever. She ended up being scared of riding horses since the incident. If you are looking for more Duggar family news, come back to TV shows Ace for all your updates. For years, the Duggar family has been a household name, largely due to their popular reality show, 19 Kids and Counting, which later morphed into Counting On. Viewers were drawn into the daily lives of Jim, Bob, Michelle, and their 19 children, including Jinger Duggar, the 6th of their 19 children. Known for their conservative Christian values and unique upbringing, the Duggar children were raised in an environment that emphasized strict rules, modesty, and an adherence to faith. However, as Jinger has grown into adulthood, she has stepped away from some of her family's values, choosing to carve out her own path and share her perspective. In recent months, Jinger has been making headlines for her candid revelations in interviews and her memoir, where she shares her thoughts on the rigid upbringing she experienced. But beyond her personal evolution, one particular aspect of her experience in the public eye has shocked fans: her surprising and complex relationship with the production crew of the Duggar family's reality show. Early days on set, a hesitant start, Jinger first stepped into the world of reality TV as a young teenager. At the time, 19 Kids and Counting was still relatively new, and the family was adjusting to life in front of the camera. In a recent interview, Jinger opened up about how uncomfortable those early days were for her. As a family known for valuing privacy and modesty, having cameras constantly around them was a major shift. I was really shy and quiet back then, Jinger recalled. It felt weird to have cameras everywhere, especially when we were just doing normal things like making dinner or playing outside. At first, it was hard to understand why anyone would want to watch us do these mundane things. However, as time went on, Jinger began to adapt to the presence of the cameras. While some of her siblings seemed more natural in front of the lens, she admitted that it took her longer to feel comfortable. Despite her hesitance, she couldn't deny the growing bond she was forming with the production crew. A surprising connection as the show progressed, Jinger found herself developing an unexpected connection with the crew members. Over time, the production team became a consistent presence in the Duggar household, and Jinger began to see them as more than just people behind the cameras. The crew was there for everything, Jinger explained. Birthdays, holidays, family trips, they were around for some of our most intimate moments. After a while, they didn't feel like outsiders anymore. They became like family. What was especially shocking to Jinger was how much the crew members began to confide in her and her siblings. Despite their professional roles, the crew often shared personal stories, and Jinger realized they were just as human as anyone else, with their own struggles, dreams, and opinions. I think a lot of people assume the production crew is just there to do a job and leave, but that wasn't the case with us. We built real friendships, Jinger said. They'd share their thoughts with us, and we'd talk about life. It was eye-opening because, growing up, we were mostly surrounded by people who shared the same beliefs as us. But the crew came from all kinds of backgrounds, and it was a huge learning experience for me. Eye-opening conversations as Jinger grew older, her relationship with the production crew deepened. While the show portrayed the Duggars' faith and family values, Jinger found herself having private conversations with crew members about topics that weren't typically discussed on camera. This exposure to different viewpoints was something she hadn't encountered often within her sheltered upbringing. They'd tell me about their experiences, things that were totally different from how I grew up. It was fascinating, and I started to realize there was so much more to life than what I had been taught, Jinger recalled. One crew member in particular, who Jinger affectionately referred to as Mark, had a lasting impact on her. Mark had worked on the show for several years and often talked to Jinger about the world outside of her family's faith-based bubble. He shared stories of his travels, relationships, and even his struggles with mental health. His openness left a deep impression on Jinger, who had never been exposed to such candid discussions before. I remember one day, Mark pulled me aside after a long day of filming and told me how important it was to question things in life, to explore the world and form my own beliefs. That stuck with me, Jinger said. It made me start to think about my own life, my faith, and what I really believed. Tensions behind the scenes, however, not everything about the production crew's presence was positive. As Jinger grew closer to certain members of the crew, she began to notice a growing tension between her family's values and the lifestyle of some of the crew members. While the Duggars' conservative beliefs were central to the show's identity, the production crew often came from more liberal or secular backgrounds, which sometimes led to uncomfortable moments. There were definitely times when my family and the crew didn't see eye to eye, Jinger admitted. I could tell there were things the crew didn't agree with or understand about our way of life, and that sometimes created tension. But at the same time, I think that tension helped me grow. Despite the occasional friction, Jinger appreciated the crew's professionalism and their respect for her family, even when they disagreed on fundamental issues. I think they tried to be as respectful as possible. They never forced us to do or say anything we didn't want to. But I know it wasn't always easy for them to film certain things that went against their own beliefs, Jinger reflected. Life after reality TV in recent years, as Jinger has moved away from the limelight and settled into life with her husband, Jeremy Vuolo, she's continued to reflect on the impact that the production crew had on her life. Now living in Los Angeles, far from her family's home in Arkansas, Jinger credits the